Picture this: a small, unassuming disc of copper passes through countless hands, its surface worn smooth by decades of commerce. Yet beneath that familiar reddish sheen lies a story of minting mishaps, shifting penny compositions, and collector goldmines waiting to be uncovered. Today, we're zooming in on one of the most intriguing pieces in modern U.S. numismatics, an ordinary coin that might just be extraordinary in your pocket. Get ready to explore the 1981 Lincoln cent like you've never seen it before. Let's dive straight into what makes the 1981 penny more than just spare change. At first glance, it looks like hundreds of millions of identical pieces struck that year. But among those billions, a handful bear subtle variations and anomalies that can send seasoned aficionados into a frenzy. From its birth at the Philadelphia and Denver mints to the auction floors where top specimens command four-figure sums, this coin's journey is full of twists and surprises. So lean in, because every ridge and scratch tells a chapter of its life. Back in 1981, the United States Mint was navigating post-1969 fluctuations in copper pricing and public demand. The Lincoln cent, redesigned in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, was now a mainstay of everyday currency, but rising metal costs threatened its viability. In response, Mint officials toyed with composition changes before settling on the familiar 95% copper, 5% zinc blend that had resumed in 1982. So the 1981 pennies sit at a pivotal moment. They're the last large copper cents before the transition to copper-plated zinc. That sandwich of metals gives them a heft and patina collector's prize, marking them as the end of an era. As production rolled on at both Philly and Denver, mintages hit astronomical levels, over $6.3 billion in Denver alone. That ubiquity often leads casual observers to dismiss these cents as endless and valueless. But beyond the raw numbers, variations lurked. Tiny die cracks, doubling errors, misplaced mint marks and even off-center strikes can transform an everyday penny into a standout rarity. The key lies in spotting those subtle deviations from perfection. In particular, collectors seek out medium to strong double dies on the obverse, where Lincoln's ear or the date appears slightly shadowed. Let's focus on the most coveted error, the medium double die obverse, DDO. On select 1981 D specimens, the designer's initials, date and motto show a faint but unmistakable second outline. It's easy to miss without a loop, but under magnification, that ghost image pops. Historical records suggest only a few dozen examples survived full circulation in collectible grade. This scarcity drives auction prices into the hundreds, sometimes low thousands, depending on condition. Spotting a DDO on a circulated coin can feel like winning a treasure hunt, especially if it still carries a hint of original mint luster. Another sought-after variety comes courtesy of a misplaced mint mark. Early in the Denver 1981 production run, the D punched into the reverse was occasionally off-center, closer to the rim than intended. Those imperfect placements aren't officially categorized like DDOs, but die collectors note that any penny with a mint mark sitting more than 1 mm from its standard spot warrants closer scrutiny. Some of these eccentric mint marks were captured in rolls and bags shipped to banks, so they do surface among collector circles once in a blue moon. Beyond errors, pristine 1981 cents in high mint state grades command respect for sheer condition. A perfect MS-67 example from Philadelphia might fetch $100 to $150 at auction. Push that to MS-68, and you're in the $250 to $400 range, depending on eye appeal and strike quality. Denver pieces of similar grade often drive slightly higher, reflecting the relative scarcity of top-tier specimens. Auction house archives show a handful of MS-69 examples exceeding $1,000 when accompanied by full red luster and flawless details. Those are the unicorns that appear once every few years. Auction records tell an even more dramatic story. In late 2023, a PCGS-graded 1981 DDO in MS-65 red sold for $1,200, driven by fierce bidding from several advanced collectors. Meanwhile, a raw example of the same variety in EF40 fetched over $600, a testament to how scarcity can uplift even modestly worn coins. Contrast that with typical circulated cents, these trade hands for face value or fractions thereof, unless an error is present. Knowing where your coin falls on this spectrum can mean the difference between pocket change and a serious payday. Shifting from market numbers to memorable anecdotes, one collector swears they found a medium DDO in an unsuspecting bank roll while unrolling pennies for a coffee machine. Another recounts a family heirloom set aside by a grandparent who saved a handful of uncirculated 1981s after spotting extra sheen on the copper fields. These stories underscore the thrill of serendipity, how a routine purchase at a grocery store can suddenly feel like a private archaeological dig. Each scratch, each faded spot, carries a tale of decades spent jingling in jeans pockets. Digging deeper, consider the coin's chemistry. In humid climates, the copper-zinc ratio can lead to distinctive oxidation patterns. Collectors often prize red-brown coins that showcase gentle toning without heavy verdigris. The smoothness of the fields and absence of hairlines, microscopic scratches from mishandling, boost desirability. Those factors feed directly into grading decisions, where surface preservation can outweigh even strike sharpness at higher levels. When evaluating a 1981 cent, grading companies like PCGS and NGC apply a strict rubric: strike, surfaces, luster, eye appeal. Slight bag marks or faint carbon spots can knock a coin down a grade, trimming its value by 20% or more. In contrast, a specimen with razor-sharp dentals and unbroken rims can see its price jump overnight. Collectors who focus on these condition nuances often build relationships with dealers who reserve high-grade examples for VIP clients, cutting the need to endlessly monitor auction listings. In circulated grades, you'll find a steady tier of value variations. An VF20, very fine, 1981 D typically trades for 2 to 5 cents above face. Jump to -50 Australian dollars, about uncirculated, and you're looking at 10 to 20 cents. MS 60 pieces hit a sweet spot around $1 to $2, thanks to their full mint state surfaces. Those modest premiums reflect both the coin's status as a common date and the sheer volume still in collectible quality condition. Only when you reach the mid-60s and beyond do the prices really accelerate into the 2 and 3-figure zones. As you handle 1981 pennies, keep an eye out for subtle doubling on the reverse motto, E pluribus unum. It's less dramatic than the obverse DDO but can still merit a premium when pronounced. Equally, inspect the wheat stalks. Die clashes sometimes left faint hairlines that give the appearance of an extra grain. These anomalies may not bring thousands, but they add depth to any assemblage and reveal the mint's lively workshop history. Now that you've journeyed through the copper fields, mint marks, and auction blocks of the 1981 Lincoln cent, keep your eyes peeled for these key takeaways. It's the last large copper issue before 1982's switch. Medium DDOs remain the crown jewel, and condition reigns supreme in determining market power. Armed with this knowledge, every penny you encounter might just be a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Sliding the calendar back one more notch brings us to 1979, a year when the Lincoln cent still gleamed in nearly pure copper, yet hid its own assortment of collectible quirks. Over 4.2 billion of these pennies emerged from Philadelphia and Denver, yet the thrill of discovery lies in the handful of specimens that diverged ever so subtly from the standard issues. Whether you unearth one at a coin show or stumble across it in your change jar, the 1979 cent rewards a careful eye and a bit of patience. Let's start with the story behind the metal. By 79 the mint had fine-tuned its copper-zinc ratio after the cost-driven experiments of the late 70s. That meant most cents carried the reliable 95% copper mix, giving them a warmth collectors love. But on rare occasions, planchet scraps intended for nickel cores slipped through, producing off-alloy cents with noticeably different weight and sound. Though not catalogued in major verities books, these oddballs can fetch between $50 and $150 when authenticated, simply because they defy expectation. The most celebrated error in 1979 is the medium double die obverse. Chiefly on Denver strikes, a select few coins show that telltale second image on Lincoln's jawline and the date. Under 10 times magnification, you'll spot the doubling in God We Trust, and the rim. Only a couple dozen certified examples survive in high grade, so even an MS-63 DDO commands $500 to $800 at auction. When one surfaced in EF-40 for $350, it underscored how rarity trumps condition in the error world. Repunched mintmarks also pepper the 1979 lineup. Early Denver production shows the D applied over a faint, off-center outline, sometimes nearly touching the rim. Count the ghost Ds, and you've got yourself an RPM. Circulated RPMs might trade for $20 to $30, but in MS-65 they can soar to $250 or more. RPM enthusiasts prize the clarity of those overlapping letters, so vivid examples seldom remain on dealer tables for long. Off-center strikes, another crowd favorite, appear when the collar fails to seat the planchet properly. A slight shift, 3 to 5% off, yields a modest premium of $3 to $7. But dramatic offsets above 15%, where Lincoln nearly walks off the coin's edge, can break $400 in EF-45 or better. Such coins feel alive, their misalignment telling a story of a fleeting factory glitch. Surface preservation holds equal sway. A 1979 penny in MS-67 red, glowing with unbroken luster, regularly brings $100 to $150. Push that to MS-68, and the ceiling climbs to $300 or more, especially for Philadelphia strikes, which are scarcer at top grades. Denver MS-68's edge slightly lower, but both spark heated bidding, thanks to the coin's robust demand among modern mint collectors. Toning offers yet another layer. Exposed to humidity and storage materials, some scents develop a soft auburn hue with violet edge toning. Natural, even toning can lift a coin's value by 15%, provided no corrosion masks the underlying surfaces. Beware cleaned or artificially darkened coins, though. A professional grading report is invaluable when toning comes into play. Circulated grades follow a familiar trajectory. AG, 4-piece trades for 10 to 15 cents, VG, 8 sells for 20 to 25, EF, 40 jumps to 50 cents or more. Once you hit negative $50 with partial red fields, set it aside, those often reach over $1. The trick is spotting residual red flash around the date or rim, a hint that the coin spent most of its life protected. Among specialized niches, some collectors chase the full steps reverse on 1979 cents. Here, the wheat stalk's bottom left segment retains all steps, unpolished away by the die sinker. In MS-64, those full steps might fetch $40 to $60, in MS-65, closer to $80 or $100. It's a subtle detail, but once you've seen steps 1 through 6 crisply rendered, you'll scan every wheat cent with renewed fervor. Whether you're sifting through bank rolls or inspecting a dealer's latest haul, remember to examine both fields and rims under magnification. Look for that doubled motto, the slight shadow of a ghost mintmark, or the curve of an off-center strike. And when you think you've found something special, consider sending it off to PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. Certified rarities from 1979 routinely command 2 to 3 times the value of raw pieces. Bringing it all together, these 3 modern-era Lincoln cents share a common thread. Hidden within billions of everyday coins are the quirks that keep advanced collectors enthralled. From 1979's final copper whispers through 1980's wheat step variations to 1981's last large copper anomalies, each date invites you to look beyond the surface. So whether you're hunting double dies, chasing RPMs, or simply savoring pristine mint state reds, every penny holds the potential of a numismatic jackpot. Keep your loop close, trust your instincts, and let each small disc of copper tell you its story, because in the world of rare coin collecting, the smallest details often yield the greatest rewards. Shifting our gaze from the 1981 penny's copper glow, let's step back 1 year to 1980, where another wave of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses with its own cache of surprises. The 1980 issue sits at a crossroads in modern numismatics, still minted in rich 95% copper alloy, yet produced in such staggering volumes, over 4.6 billion combined between Philadelphia and Denver, that finding the subtle mistakes becomes an electrifying treasure hunt. Pull up a chair and get comfortable, because this penny's story brims with unexpected twists, from hidden die varieties to auction room showstoppers. In early 1980, the United States Mint was balancing production demands against rising metal costs, experimenting briefly that year with strip thickness before settling on the tried-and-true copper zinc sandwich. The Lincoln cent, having worn the wheat ears reverse for just over 2 decades, still drew on Victor David Brenner's original 1909 design lines, Lincoln's profile on one side, the twin stalks of wheat on the other. Intimate familiarity with these features is crucial, because the rarest 1980s don't shout their errors, they whisper, hiding in plain sight among billions of regular cents. Production statistics read like a numismatic novel, about 2.1 billion struck at Philadelphia, no mint mark, and roughly 2.5 billion from Denver, with a small d. At those figures, it seems implausible that true rarities exist, but they do, and they hinge on minute deviations. The medium double die obverse, DDO, resurfaces here, though far scarcer than in 1981. Only a few dozen pristine examples bear the double date and motto crisply enough to command serious collector attention. Spotting that second ghost image requires a steady hand and decent magnification, but the payoff can be staggering. Auction records show MS-65 DDO specimens reaching $800 to $1,200, depending on overall eye appeal. Next, let's talk repunched mint marks, because the 1980 D mint mark varieties captivate die enthusiasts. Early in Denver's production, the punch used to stamp the D occasionally shifted between strikes, leaving faint impressions of earlier placements. Look closely at the rim area. Those overlapping mintmark stamps can reveal up to 3 faint D ghosts. While the most dramatic RPMs might only fetch $50 to $100 in circulated grade, high-grade examples in MS-63 and above can trade hands for $300 or more. The greatest value resides in specimens where the overlapping letters create a visibly layered effect without distorting Lincoln's portrait. Beyond mintmark oddities, off-center strikes from misaligned dies offer another avenue for discovery. Most off-center 1980 cents are modest. Misalignment under 5% yields only modest premiums of $2 to $5 above face value. But when the offset exceeds 15%, revealing significant blank planchet margins around Lincoln's head, values can skyrocket into the hundreds or even low thousands. Such broad-struck anomalies sometimes surfaced in mint facility stockpiles, then inadvertently entered circulation via bank rolls, making every change counting session a potential thrill. Condition remains king when it comes to full red, mint state examples. A flawless MS-67 red from Philadelphia often trades around $150 to $200, whereas an MS-68 specimen with flawless fields and vibrant copper surfaces can cross $400. Denver equivalents typically command slight premiums, reflecting the relative rarity of top-grade pieces from that branch. In fact, PCGS has certified only a handful of MS-68 reds from 1980D, and each appearance at auction draws eager bidding wars that can push prices north of $500. Digging into auction archives reveals some standout moments. In mid-2024, a PCGS MS-66 RDCAM, Red Cameo, 1980 DDO sold for an eye-popping $1,500, thanks to its ultra-sharp cameo contrast and textbook cameo frost on Lincoln's portrait. Meanwhile, an NGC MS-65 RD RPM piece recently sold for $800, underscoring how even modest grades can command serious sums when the variety is dialed in. Such figures highlight the market's hunger for coins that combine scarcity with stellar eye appeal. Every great coin story has its share of lore. One seasoned collector recalls finding a lightly circulated 1980 penny with a broad strike error. No collar held the blank planchet, so the rim never formed. That lone piece graded VF 30 sold for $1,100, a testament to how dramatic errors can overshadow condition when drama is high. Another account involves a bank vault unload in the early 90s, where a stash of uncirculated 1980 D cents showed faint doubling on the wheat stalks rather than on Lincoln's bust. Those unusual reverse DDOs have since become coveted oddities among specialized error collectors. Chemistry buffs also appreciate how the copper alloy in 1980 cents develops unique toning patterns. Exposed to varying humidity levels during storage, some coins acquire a rose gold patina with subtle blue or purple hues around the edges, a phenomenon collectors term rainbow toning. When toning appears naturally and evenly, it can boost a coin's value by 10 to 20%, as long as the surfaces remain unmarred by corrosion. Artificial toning, by contrast, is fiercely avoided, making professional certification even more critical when toning is present. Turning to circulated coins, market values progress predictably yet offer opportunities for attentive hunters. A typical G4 grade 1980 D may trade for 10 to 15 cents, reflecting its commonplace status. Moving up to VG8, very good, prices hover around 20 cents, and EF40, extremely fine, can fetch 50 cents to $1, depending on color retention. Rare survivors in -50 Australian dollars grade command a premium of $1 to $2, signaling that any coin with even slight full red hints is worth setting aside for closer inspection. Examining the wheat reverse reveals yet another subtle variety, the FS1 full steps wheat stalk. On a small subset of 1980 cents, the die was overpolished, leaving the bottom steps of the wheat ear fully intact rather than broken off by die polishing. These full steps have become a shorthand among collectors. Pieces graded MS64 full steps often sell for $60 to $80, whereas MS65 ramps up to $120 or more. The key lies in counting the steps. If all 6 steps on the lower left stalk are crisp, you've likely found an FS1. Condition-based value variation comes into sharp focus when contrasting copper reds with red browns. A red-brown MS65 1980 penny often trades 20% lower than a full red example at the same grade. And once brown surfaces dominate, most collectors consider the coin a premium circulation survivor rather than a mint-set gem, keeping values modestly above face in ungraded form. Yet outstanding brown MS66 pieces still command $100 to $150, underscoring that eye appeal can sometimes trump surface finish color. Before you sort through your rolls or dip into your coin dish, remember these key points. Focus on medium double dies for the biggest thrills, watch for RPMs and full steps on the wheat stalks, and set aside anything with unusual toning or broad strike traits. And if you stumble on a candidate that seems special, consider sending it in for third-party grading. Authenticated rarities routinely command multiples of raw sale estimates. That step can turn a pocketful of pennies into a potential windfall. As you continue your hunt, keep a magnifier close and patience even closer. The 1980 Lincoln cent may appear commonplace, but it hides a wealth of variations that reward those who look beyond the top layers of copper. Every glance at red luster, every reflection on the wheat stalks, and every twist in the mint mark could signal a lost treasure from 4 decades ago. So take your time, trust your eye, and let the hunt guide you. Your next jackpot might be spinning in your pocket right now.